Hi, this is Amber.
And this is Lisa.
And you're listening to Unexplained Arkansas, a new podcast that explores urban legends, mysteries, and the unsolved in the natural state.
We're just two best friends discussing the unexplained in Arkansas.
Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Arkansas. And I did that without laughing. So welcome to Unexplained Arkansas. This is Amber.
And this is Lisa.
Yes.
And I'm going to laugh. I'm going to evil laugh.
Yes. No, she was just making fun of me because I'm wearing like a burnt orange blanket around my shoulders, and it looks like I'm wearing a cape. I look like Supergal in this. Yeah.
I was like,
you're
so
nice. Yeah.
Or a blanket or a moo-moo. I never know.
Just around my shoulders. I don't know.
A kimono.
Now, I do wear a kimono every once in a while. Yes, that is true. And she has seen me in that. Yes, I do. Yeah. So.
Because I call you a hippie because you're a hippie. Or I called you a gypsy earlier.
Yeah.
Gypsy hippie.
Yes. Okay,
and
so
that is a compliment before anybody gets their underwear in a wad.
In a spiral.
Yes. That is a compliment in the highest form. So
yeah. So I went to Moxie today, which is a cool store, and I talked to the owner. Oh,
and I didn't know where that was.
No, she didn't, but it's in Soma in Little Rock. Now, she may not have been the owner. She may just have been like the manager. I don't know what she was, but I talked to her. She's really sweet and took her cards, and they have a lot of cool stuff for the eclipse. And cool. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to going back down there when it's on sale after the eclipse.
Eclipse sale.
Yes. I just can't bring myself to buy much. I did buy 2 moon phase maps poster things today just for fun because they were cute. Yes.
Yes, I'm sure you did. You asked me if I wanted anything, and I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. But I did want something from Loblolly, obviously, but that you can't bring ice cream back, so whatever.
I got cookies and cream, 2 scoops of cookies and cream, and 1 scoop of peanut butter on top.
Oh gosh. If you're in the Little Rock area, Central Arkansas area, people, Loblolly and Moxie, shout out. There you go.
Yeah, and then South on Main. Excellent. I love to shop there too. That's just down the street.
You know, I see their stuff, and I haven't been there either. So
it's awesome.
I don't like to shop. I like to online shop. That's terrible.
I don't like to get off the freeway, but I do to go to Soma. If I'm, I was in town for something else, and I just kind of veered off and went in there and did a little quick shopping and because that's my favorite spot. And when my friend Kelly lived here, we would go there a lot. The one that lives in Portland now.
Okay, I think you posted, and I think she said something. She was upset.
And then she cares. She's living up in Portland, Oregon, next to the Goonies Beach. She's living it up there. Yeah,
the Goonies Beach. That's cool. That's so cool.
Very
I love the
true.
Goonies.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we are on episode number 26.
26.
And we've actually been talking about this for a long time. And those of you that keep up with what we do, like the 3 of you, Michael, and that
Sean.
other guy. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
And Heath keeps up.
Well, we have been talking about Janie Ward for, I want to say 2 months now, and probably have alluded to the fact we are going to do a longer stretch of podcasts on Janie Ward. The reason being is Lisa did get the entire file from the Arkansas State Police, and she needed time to actually go through the file, much like we did with the Ruby Stapleton case.
Yes. And this could be, sorry, not sorry. It's just going to be possibly several episodes, maybe not back to back, because we do have other stuff in between. So just saying, guys, stay tuned. Bear with me. It is what it is. But I kind of want to get it right, and I kind of want to tell you everything in the file.
I hope you get it right. Can't put things out there.
You never know about me now. But I really want to do it, do Janie justice and the file justice, and really like, there's just so much. There's just a lot
how
of
many
stuff.
pages were in the file?
Well, there's like thousands of pages. But I have so far gone through about 300 myself so far.
Oh, okay.
For this one episode. But there are thousands. And I did, like, the Arkansas State Police were pretty great to work with. They're the attorney that works for the state when I filed. So this is in the small town of Marshall, Arkansas. And this goes back, we're going to go back to Saturday, September 9th of 1989. And Janie Ward was 16 years old, and her legal name was Olivia Jane Ward. She would go to a party that night in a cabin in the woods around 6 o'clock, but by 8:30, she would be found deceased in the town square of Marshall.
Oh, wow.
And we don't know how or what could have happened to a very seemingly healthy teenage girl just hanging out at a park. So a lot of people know about the Janie Ward case. Helen Gone host Catherine Townsend, she took a really deep look into the case in 2019. Helen Gone host Catherine Townsend took a really deep dive into this case in her 2019 podcast. And she does great work. And if you know her work, like she kind of, at that time, she was kind of doing a season. So the whole season, there was maybe 6-7 episodes. It was all based on Janie Ward. And now she does what's called Murder Line, and she does kind of but anyway, check that out. I myself listened to the podcast probably it wasn't right when she put it out, but it would have been fairly in that time frame, like 2020 or so. And I just found the case extremely sad, of course, and extremely confusing. There was just so much, and her podcast really, especially the first episodes, were really centered on the Ward family and such, and all the information that they had gathered. And so it was just a lot. Now, the whole file, like we mentioned, is thousands of pages. Thousands. And I've so far gone through about 300 or so. What has been sent to me was about 600 and something, plus pictures from the original file, because there were 2 investigations, and we'll kind of, as we roll into all this, we'll kind of get into it. So my goal in doing this research, is just really to lay out the facts and the information that the police had. Because a lot of the information, especially what was published, was a lot of information directly from the Ward family. And so I really felt like this is the case file, and I really want to get it out there. So this is what I'm doing. This is my goal. So to kind of start with, the town of Marshall is about 65 miles to the northwest of Searcy, where me and Amber live. And we actually did drive there. When was that? When did we take our little trip?
It's been a while. It's been
couple weeks,
maybe a month ago, 5 weeks, something like that.
Okay, something like that. So we actually, my goal was to do a little research. I really wanted to hang out. I just wanted to see kind of the town square. So we drove around the town square. We did go to that Canaan cemetery, which we will do. Amber's going to be doing the unexplained short on. And we found that cemetery. That's actually where Janie is buried. So we went there for that purpose, and it's beautiful. And go back and look at those pictures posted. But definitely hang in there. We're probably going to be recording that tomorrow. So you're going to get a couple episodes from your gals. Okay. So just stay tuned. We go through Marshall typically when we travel to Branson, which is like Amber's Mecca. Okay. And then it's
most people in Central Arkansas do go that way to Branson. That is true.
And this is Branson, Missouri. It's kind of, I don't know. It's like a really family friendly Vegas or something. It's like,
I don't know if I would compare it to Vegas. It's it's
got a lot going on. It's family friendly.
Yeah. It's hard to explain Branson to people that have never been to Branson. Yeah. No, there's no gambling.
It's all the stuff. Yeah. It's like a strip, but it has all the stuff,
but no
like
strippers.
The Ripley. No stripper. Not that we've seen. So,
and if you are a stripper in Branson, I apologize. There's nothing wrong with an honest day's work.
There you go. I just haven't seen. Anyway, we're transgressing once again, but they do have like awesome stuff like the Titanic Museum and that Ripley's Believe It or Not. It has all of that family friendly stuff. The mountain roller coasters. Branson is awesome. So we go there a lot. We go there a lot for dance. Amber just goes there a lot for fun.
Yeah. Well, I grew up going there with my grandparents all the time, and that's why it's so familiar. And it's 3 hours from here, so it's an easy drive.
It is an easy drive, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's just and Marshall is beautiful. So Marshall is actually the largest city, and they're the county seat of Searcy County. So this is kind of confusing because our town is called Searcy, but we are in White County. But yes. Marshall is located in Searcy County. Tell me how that happened.
Anyway. I'm really not sure. I guess I should know how Searcy got its name, Searcy, our town, but I have no idea. I haven't looked at that, so I don't know.
I think it is the similar person, but for some different reasons, I think. So the population of Marshall, it is very small. It has like 1,329 people as of 2020. So I couldn't really see how many were there in 1989, but most of the time when we've looked, it's been similar numbers. It's like the town didn't decrease or grow any. So I would say about similar. But it's pretty small. And Marshall is actually part of what we call the Ozarks. It's at the foot of Boston Mountain Range, which is part of the Ozarks. So if you've ever seen, and we've talked about this in other podcasts, but the Ozark show.
Yes, I don't.
That is what they're talking about, but that's more Missouri side.
Yeah,
this is the Arkansas side.
You're talking about the Jason Bateman show, right?
The Jason Bateman show.
I don't like it.
I didn't watch it. Daryl did. I did watch the final season, which was good. I will say that the final season was good, but I couldn't watch every season. I can't get into all that like meanness and drug. I don't know. Sometimes it's a little too much for me. Like I didn't watch that Breaking Bad. I can't do it.
Oh no, I didn't watch that either. I was not, and I'm a teacher, and I was a science teacher, and people would make Breaking Bad references sometimes, and be like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, no, it's just not my thing. So the elevation of Marshall is actually 915 feet, which is pretty high considering, lots of Arkansas is maybe 200 feet, maybe above sea level. So it's really pretty. People drive up there. It's near the Buffalo River. So it's a place where people go to hike and fish and camp, and float the river. So it's really a scenic place. And really, for me personally, the best part is the Daisy Queen, which evidently the Daisy Queen has been there for a long time. In 1989, it was the place to be. So the Daisy Queen is going to come up a lot, but me and Amber actually ate there, and I had the best burger. I had fries, didn't I? Or did I have onion? Oh, I had.
You did. Well, no, you had onion rings.
Ooh, onion rings.
You had onion rings. I can't believe I even remember, but you did. But now I will tell you that the Daisy Queen has been around forever. And I remember my grandparents would always stop there on our way home. We would always from Branson, we would always stop there because it was a couple, or an hour and a half or whatever out.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have evidently, from what I was reading in the case file, they've been around since the 1960s. So, I mean, and
they're really good.
They are so good. So if you're in that Marshall area, which is, there, it's only about, I did write down, it's not very far away from the Missouri border, actually, just saying. But anywho, yes, so we talked about the Canaan Cemetery and stuff. So now we're going to chat about Janie herself, okay? So Janie was described by her family as just incredibly kind. She was always rooting for the underdog. She was always wanting to help others in need. In all the pictures of Janie, she looked so quintessentially 1980s. She was and I say that in the best possible way. It was awesome. She was really pretty. She had a really pretty face, awesome cheekbones. She was wearing blue eyeshadow in most of the pictures I saw of her.
Hey, I went through a blue eyeshadow phase.
My sister definitely did. So Yeah, it was just that awesome. Her hair was always cool, the cool 80s. It was, and it's kind of late 80s, but still, it was so 80s in just the best sense. But her family also mentioned how she was, very good in school. She made good grades. She was a hard worker. She had held a job for a year. She had a really good group of friends and such. And I will say, I went through tons of witness statements, like everyone that was giving statements to the police about Janie, just the comments were always so friendly, always smiling, just her normal friendly self. So she was just a really nice person, like cool. She didn't seem to come off as, the typical teenage drama queen or something. She definitely wasn't that.
Angsty. Like I have an angsty teenager.
Yeah, sometimes mine is a little angsty. Mine's sweetheart sometimes. I don't know. Moody. But she seemed to just always, at least what she was conveying was always sweet and friendly, and that was just her personality.
She sounded like a good kid.
I know, just a really good kid, and just kind of did the normal kid stuff. So from what I could see, she was starting her junior year of high school at the Marshall High School there in Marshall. And her family, evidently, they lived really far from town. So that would be something that will come up or mentioned or whatever. But when I say far from town, like 12 miles out of town. Her parents mentioned in some of the reports, and this is going to come up, that she stayed in town a lot of the time, so she didn't have to kind of go back and forth. And it didn't appear that she drove. And so if she wanted to stay in town to do events or with school or friends, she would just stay in town. So on that Saturday night of her death, she had previously seen her parents on Friday morning when she left her house to get on the bus for school. Evidently, when she left, she was wearing jeans and a long sleeve blouse that was white with blue stripes. This is the last time she would be seen by her parents, which her parents are Ron and Mona Ward. Sometimes her dad, evidently, I think he was Ronald, but Ronnie, so this was kind of simultaneous. What she was wearing would be one of the biggest misunderstood items discussed by the Ward family, discussed in articles. It was just a topic that clouded the case for this past 35 years. So what she was wearing so just remember, she left her parents Friday morning for school wearing this white with it was like pinstriped shirt and jeans. Just keep that in, everybody's mind.
Yeah, in the back of our minds. Got it.
Yes.
Got it, Chief.
Just remember what she was wearing. According to her, to the first interview, I'm going to go into interviews by people, which is going to kind of lay out that whole evening, okay? So according to an interview with the police, Janie's friend Leslie, I'm not going to be giving any last names on people, except for the person that had the party, because it's important that I do. And this is all public record. Of course, everyone can file this act and get this. I mean, this is all public record because the case is closed. So, but Janie and Leslie was a 16-year-old. She was in 10th grade. This investigator Beach, which was actually, he was with the Arkansas State Police. And then there was a prosecutor that was with him. I believe she was a woman, but they would be interviewing everybody, but they interviewed Leslie, and Leslie stated that Janie stayed with her that Friday night. From what else I could read in the file, Janie was supposed to be staying with another friend, but that friend was grounded. We remember what that's like, don't we?
I was fixing to say, that reminds me of when we were 16. I think you were the one that was always grounded. I never was grounded because my grandparents didn't know. I was fixing to say, they didn't know where it was half the time.
There was no grounding for Amber. I think Courtney and me would get a little grounding, but yes. So I got grounded, but Janie stayed with Leslie. Leslie stated that the last time she saw Janie was Saturday at 4 p.m. So Janie spent the night and then she spent into Saturday. And that Janie mentioned to Leslie that she was concerned that her parents would be mad because Janie was headed to a party that Saturday night. And obviously Leslie did not go to the party. It doesn't say why Leslie didn't go. Maybe her parents wouldn't let her go or whatever. But Janie did mention that she was going to the party, that she felt like her parents would be mad. Leslie also stated to the police that Janie left her clothes. So evidently she had some clothes kind of stashed different places, but she left her clothes at the pool house in town. And that Leslie didn't know why she had done that, but perhaps she was thinking that Janie would be out late and didn't want to come back to their house really late and pick up the clothes after the party. Leslie also mentioned that she had seen Janie drink before. So the cops were asking specific questions, which I'll get into. And she had mentioned that Janie drank preferred whiskey. So Janie's preferred alcohol that she would drink if she was drinking was whiskey.
Good grief. That's strong. Yikes.
That is strong. Okay. I'll be honest. I didn't drink at all in high school, so I can't imagine that, but I think that I don't think it's uncommon, and you'll definitely see kind of this whole situation, this party situation. But Leslie also mentioned, Leslie also said Janie always seemed happy, and the only trouble that she ever knew about Janie was always regarding money or lack of it. So that was just, something, if Janie did say anything negative, it was just that. And again, Leslie did not go to the party. So that would be the last time that Leslie would see Janie, was 4 p.m. on Saturday. So now we're going to go into the party. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, and I've heard
questions?
No, not yet, but I've heard some varying stories regarding the party and, all of that. So I'm very interested to see what the actual case file has in it.
Yes. Yeah, me too, because as in-depth as the podcast about this all was, there's a lot of information that I didn't know in this case file. But I know, that, and Catherine mentioned in her podcast that she had all of it, 6,000 pages worth of documents and such. And that was also given to her actually by the Ward family. And so her podcast was based on a lot of that information, which will come up in kind of future episodes that we do. So the first person that I'm going to discuss is a person named Kim. Okay, so Janie evidently, and this is Kim talking to the police. Kim says that her and a person named Ron, and he was driving, picked Janie up at the town square, and they picked her up around 5:30, and then they drove out to this party, which this party was located on the Zach Ridge Road, and there's not an address. I won't give an address. There wasn't an address. This was just a very rural situation. I did see when we were in Marshall, I did see a Zach Ridge Road, and we kind of tried to follow it, but we were going all over the place, and we had priorities. We had the bread company place that we wanted to stop at, and was it Leslie?
Yeah.
We just had some other priorities.
Is it Serenity Springs?
Farm, Serenity
Farm, something like that.
Yes. So we had those priorities. It's called bread and treats.
Oh my God. Our priority is bread. I want everyone to know that about me. My priority is always bread.
It really is for me, and frozen Coke.
Yeah.
You know it. I know it. Yes.
We do eat a lot of bread when we're together in whatever form.
Capacity.
Pizza. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's a staple. Janie had told Kim that she had stayed in town Friday night and that she felt like her parents would freak out if she didn't come home that night. So Kim says that she really didn't know how Janie was getting home, she didn't, she had gotten a ride out there. In fact, Ron, later on, when I look into Ron's statements, like, it's kind of like Ron and Kim were just driving around, and actually Ron was going to be picking up his girlfriend, and they were just happen upon Janie, stopped to chat, and Janie was like, "Hey, are you guys going to the party?" And they're like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So,
which is a teenager thing to do.
That is, and I think that this is a very Marshall thing to do, and this is a very 1989 thing to do.
Oh,
because
heck yeah.
it's not like it's not really hard for us to imagine, because we were kind of there on the brink. There were cell phones, but when we were teenagers, like, remember, we would drive to Hastings to see everybody, and then you would make plans. It was like Hastings parking lot and go in the store or go to, like, so I'm noticing in all these interviews that their places were the Daisy Queen, the pool hall, and like the town square.
Yeah, that's really that's really interesting. Every town has the spots, and it may be different for different people. For us, you're right, it was Hastings and the Midnight Oil coffee shop.
Yes.
The Wendy's.
That was one.
We were at the Wendy's a lot.
Yes, you were. Yeah, the Wendy's was right there. So yeah, you just had your places where you can meet up, and then you kind of made plans. So that's kind of how this went, pretty much. But Kim stated that she was, so at this party, they arrived at the party. The party, I'll get into, the house was owned by a Steve Ward. The child that was having the party, his name was Jamie Ward. So this was really confusing for me.
Jamie and Janie. Oh,
Jamie
gosh.
Ward. And they were, according to the file, at his first interview, Jamie mentioned that he and Janie, this is so confusing, were second cousins. That was the connection. And so this is where they headed out. And now Kim did say, this was like a house. Jamie lived there alone. He was a 17-year-old boy. His father actually owned the home, but his father lived in Harrison. And then evidently Jamie did not get along with, I guess, his mom and stepdad. He was a 17-year-old boy. He just didn't want to live with them. So he lived out here in this house, this very rural situation. And so he was having a house party. And there, yes, and we'll get into all the ramifications, but it was a house. There were people outside in the yard. They were on the porch. They were inside. They were just all over the place. It is mentioned that there were 20 to 30 people at this party, and that the party kind of officially started at 6, but people were coming and going. So there was this was a typical party.
That's not a whole lot. Normal. I mean, when you say 80s house party, I'm thinking 16 candles type of party. So this wasn't...
This was not a huge situation.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, 20 to 30 was kind of the reference number in a lot of the interviews.
It's not huge. That's like a family get together for me, for my family.
Oh, there, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, Kim mentioned that she was inside the house when Janie actually fell. So she was not a witness to anything that happened to Janie, and that she basically came outside of the house and Janie was laying on the ground, and someone mentioned to get a doctor. And at the same time, there's going to be several of these interviews that mention this, but this party they had a beer keg, and then they had a cooler, and everyone described this as just a cooler filled with red punch. And
oh God.
Yes.
I don't even want to think about what might be in that.
I know. Yeah. And it was stated to everyone at the party that the punch was this PGA punch, and that there was fruit, there were oranges in this punch, and they were soaked in rubbing alcohol for 24 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And this was the way in which the party, host was told to make this punch. So yes, there was punch.
Now this sounds like somebody tried to make a very unhealthy, well, it's all unhealthy, but like they were trying to make trash can punch, but instead of Everclear, they're using rubbing alcohol. Oh my gosh.
I think I did. I didn't think. I did read in the file that they used Gem Clear. So they just soaked the fruit evidently in the rubbing alcohol.
Now,
and then
I'm
put
looking
that
up
fruit
I'm looking up the recipe right now for what I called in college trash can punch, and that is Everclear and vodka. And Hawaiian punch with strawberries, grapes, watermelon, orange slices. And the thing about it that a lot of people don't realize, and a lot of teenagers or people that shouldn't be drinking don't realize, is that the fruit soaks up the alcohol. So if you eat the fruit, it contains a ton of alcohol. Oh my gosh.
Yes. And all of this will transpire, I promise. So Kim was saying that when she came out, Janie was on the ground, and someone mentioned, and she just looked like she had passed out. So
did anyone see her fall off the porch?
There's going to be numerous accounts.
Oh, no.
And yes. And yes, some people accounted for actually seeing this. So Kim did not witness the fall. She witnessed Janie on the ground. She did say they tried to get Janie loaded. So I'll go back a little bit. There was evidently a telephone. There was a telephone evidently inside the house.
Well, yeah, on the wall. I'm sure it was on the wall with a cord because it was 89.
No, evidently it wasn't. And a lot of people at the party, this telephone situation will come up as well. A lot of people at the party did not realize there was a telephone located in the home. And evidently it was a party line. I had to look up. I kind of knew what that meant, but I had to look this up. This is a little before my time, but a lot of people at the party didn't even realize there was a phone. However, evidently, at the same time that they're finding Janie on the ground, Kim found Janie on the ground. At the same time, people are saying the cops are coming. And everything is crazy, okay? The kids,
goodness.
Because there was alcohol, evidently there was some marijuana being passed around. They were freaking out. These kids are 16. Most of the ages are 16, 17 years old. So the kids are running crazy trying to get out of there. So somebody had picked, and there will be, again, going through these interviews, there will be some accounts. Somebody had picked up that party line and heard people, like the neighbors, because when you're on that party line, it's not your personal line. They heard some young people say that the police were coming.
Oh my gosh.
To break up this party that was happening.
And for the 2 or 3 millennials and below that listen to us, do you want to know what a party line is? Now, you said you don't really, that was before your time, but it really
I had to look it up.
Really?
Well,
we had a party line, when I was really little.
Yeah, but you also lived with elder people. And maybe a party line was more of a rural situation.
Because
it
was.
This was, this house, and and another reason why
we didn't even have a street name when I was born. It was called Route 2.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't have a street name.
Yeah. I mean, when you were born, it was the, olden days.
Yeah, the olden days. 1981 is not the olden days. Okay, maybe it is. And every day that I teach and I see people that are old enough to be my kids, oh my gosh.
It really feels it. Well, I will tell you another reason why people thought that there wouldn't be a telephone there. Evidently, there was not running water. There wasn't a bathroom or at least
they were serving trash can punch and there was no running bathroom water.
Yes. And evidently he lived out there with this situation, but they just assumed, a lot of the kids just assumed that there wasn't a phone out there. But a party line is basically where you're sharing that line with your neighbors.
And you have to kick them off sometimes so you can use it.
Yes. So I think someone had lifted up the receiver and heard people talking and heard them talk about how the cops were coming to break up this party.
Okay, I have a thought on that. My nanny used to do that. She used to pick up the party line and eavesdrop on all the neighbors. Like, this wasn't my grandma, this was her mom. That's awesome. She would eavesdrop on the party line. That was her hobby.
I will say,
God rest her soul.
God rest her. Well, that's awesome. I don't know what to say to that, but that's pretty awesome. I'm wishing I had a party line now, but we didn't have a lot of money growing up, but my mom was used to a certain amount of things. I will say we always had cable. We always lived in town, running water, and we always had a home phone. We had that.
Well,
yeah.
Well, they named our street when I was about, I guess, 8. So we did that. And they paved the road. They paved the road, named our street. But we didn't have the party line very long. We had our own phone.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't have it very long. In fact, I just remember them talking about the party line. I don't remember actually anything about it, except my story about my great-grandmother listening in on the neighbors. Yeah.
Well, it sounds really interesting. So if anyone had a party line or has any party line stories, definitely leave us a message or email us on that. Because that's just interesting to me.
Yes. But it wasn't always a party. Let me tell you, I'm sure people got really mad.
I'm sure. I can only imagine. So yes. So again, at this time, Kim is coming out. This is just her account of what's going on. She did say at this point, everybody's leaving. Everybody's going crazy. Kim's account is that there were several that loaded Janie into the truck, which was Ron's truck, that she came out in. And that Janie, was not. She thought she had passed out. She did state that she was gasping. It seemed like she was having trouble breathing. She was very limp, and they said that they just could not get her in the cab of the truck. So they did load Janie into the back of the truck. And this is, again, according to Kim. Kim did state, Kim was in the back of the truck with Janie. Janie did mumble something to her. She really couldn't make out what she was saying. But at this point, Janie, for Kim and her account is that she was passed out and they were trying to get out of there. The police were coming. They were worried about Janie, trying to get her to the doctor. So this is Kim's account to the police. Okay. Because Janie would end up being, like I said at the beginning, in the town square by 8:30, and she would be deceased.
Wow.
So at this point in the party, and they had been there a couple hours. So this is probably 8 o'clock when they're loading her up. I will say 8-ish. The times are very, this is teenagers. This is very vague. But according to Kim, they had been at the party for a couple hours at this time when she walked out and saw Janie, passed out on the ground is
now,
what she
she
accounted.
And you probably said this at the beginning of the episode, but what month and day was this?
So this was September 9th.
That's right. You did say that.
And
it
was a Saturday.
Because I'm trying to think about when it would get dark in September.
So a lot of the teenagers would account that when they were driving, because it wouldn't have been that fall back situation yet. So it would be light. And at this point, when they were getting out to the property, it was kind of, the sun was kind of starting to go down at 6. So it was working its way down. It probably would have officially been dark by 7-ish. So it would have been dark at this point in the party, like when they're loading up and leaving. And this was chaos. This was, everybody was
I'm sure,
running, screaming. I think people were trying to unload some things, if you know what I mean.
Well, and you have to also think about the time period. This was 1989, and we were not in the part where we were all learning CPR or the Heimlich maneuver. That started to be a thing, because I remember we would watch Rescue 911 all the time when we were kids. And we all knew what CPR was, and the older kids would learn it in health class or whatever. But this wasn't a common thing to know how to do, these life-saving techniques.
Yes. In Searcy, I would say, I don't know if you remember, I know when we were in junior high, which junior high for us was 8th and 9th grade, and we had to take health. And they did teach us CPR on that dummy, remember?
I do, yes.
And so
that was my
this
first
was
kiss.
Searcy.
That was my first kiss.
That's depressing.
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
And that would have been, if we are in 8th or 9th grade, that would have been 90, what?
95.
94. Yeah. So, a few, like you said, a few years later, this would have been in the curriculum, but I don't know if it would have been in Marshall's curriculum. I know that, I don't know when they came out with like a statewide situation. This was just a very small town. This was, very small considering like a fraction of Searcy size, when we look at that type of thing. So,
yeah. And, so this was, and who knows? Yeah. And the thing is, they're teenagers. Yes. Most of the time, they're not going to know what is happening.
No, they're not. And all of the people, and again, you'll see in some more detailed accounts, this was Kim's account, she just thought she had passed out. So, and she saw her on the ground. They weren't, when Kim realized, I guess, that she was gasping, I guess someone had said it because someone was like, we need to get her to a doctor. So someone had that kind of thought. But yeah, I can tell you, you have a 16-year-old, my child is about to be 16 in a month. Like, Elle would not know what to do in this situation.
Unfortunately, when you're that young, panic sets in, and yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Teenagers in the woods, 1989, just, yeah. And there was drinking going on. Anywho, they weren't even, maybe all of them in their even normal thinking, much less, when we know how teenagers think, and things aren't very crucial because they're, to me, and especially when you're a teenager, you are invincible. Like, no one even thinks about anything wrong ever going to happen to you. You know what I'm saying? It's part of that. So yeah, so this was true chaos.
Yeah, so, well, except for when we were 16 and we flew to your dad's in St. Louis, yes, and I was so scared to be away from my grandma in Arkansas. I flew home.
You had not been away from her. You had not been away from her.
Yes, but I had this like fear, this like dread of being, all those 6 hours away from her.
And we did fly. We flew back and forth. We did not drive it. So there were some new experiences there because I think that was the first time for you to fly. Yes. And the first time for you to be away from your family. So
yes. And the first time I had emos. Yeah. I'm telling you, our life is bread. Our life is carbs.
I love Emo's Pizza, people. It's a St. Louis thing. So in Missouri, but that's my favorite. And I was born in, I'm a St. Louis girl, I guess. I was born there, and in fact, I'm going there at the end of the month, and I will eat emos and post it. I should just post myself eating emos.
And then bring me some. I don't care if it's cold or old. Just bring me emos.
I think you can actually order it, and they'll ship it to you, and then you just pop it in the oven. Anyway.
Nice.
We are so getting off base, but so that was Kim's account. Kim was with Janie, got her to the party. So Ron and Kim were hanging out, and they were the ones that took Janie to the party. So the police they're asking questions to try to hone in on what was Janie doing. Was there, they're trying, what they're looking for. They're looking for all of the components that could have been there, about Janie's in this situation.
So before the police were involved, I do have a question about the ride there. All right. Yes. So where was she on the ride there? From the woods to, you said it was around the courthouse?
Yes. So it sounds like the three of them were in the cab on the way there. But on the way, like once she was unconscious and such, when they were loading her, they said they tried to put her in the cab. She was just limp. She was dead weight. And they there were some people that mentioned that she was a bigger person or whatever, and so they just couldn't fit her in her limp state. But as far as I know, she did not ride in the back of the truck on the way there. That the three of them were in the cab of this truck.
But on the way to the courthouse, she did.
Yes. No. Okay. Am I following you? So they picked her up at the courthouse to take her to the party.
Yes.
That was okay. So she rode, by all accounts that I can see, she was in the truck. But coming from the party when she was unconscious, she was loaded into the back of the truck because she was
bed of the truck.
Into the bed of the truck. Yes.
Got it.
The bed of the truck. Yes. So she was
she
in the
by
back.
herself in the bed of the truck?
Kim was in the back of the truck with her. Basically, they said from like the house to the actual main road. So kind of part of the ways, Kim, but then Kim was cold. I guess it was, very chilly by that time. And Kim crawled through the window. I guess there was like a window that was open, and she just crawled back inside. So, and then she got back in the bed once they got into town. So kind of half of the time Kim was with her, not the whole time. So questions kind of later on, the police were kind of honing in on, could anything have happened in the back of the truck is what they were thinking. And so that's, the police asked a lot of those questions, but did that clarify that?
Yeah. Okay. That was my only question.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So when Ron was first interviewed, so Ron was with Kim, he mentioned about the beer being at the party. There was a keg. He mentioned about the punch, and he mentioned that there was some marijuana. So in his account, there was. Some of the kids, honestly, did not want to admit on their first interviews. They were scared. They didn't know if they would be in trouble. Everybody was with their parents when they were being interviewed. So there was a lot of people that maybe didn't throw everything out there on the first round related to that type of item. Does that make sense? Yeah. So Ron mentioned that he also was kind of floating around the party. He was kind of in and out of the house, and he did not see Janie actually fall or anything. He came out and she was on the ground. He said that she was breathing.
Okay.
Like he came out of the house.
Okay. No, don't apologize.
Oh.
Okay. I just have.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. I just have a quick question. How much did she drink? How much did they see her drink? Was there varying accounts of that?
There was varying accounts of that. I did notice that one of the accounts said that she had, at the time of her fall, she had a cup, and that it had been her second, that she had two of those.
Okay, so I know I'm talking an awful lot about trash can punch, probably more than I have since college, but I will tell you this, I didn't drink either in high school. And,
you didn't. I can attest for that.
I did not. But
we were
Scooby-Dooing it in the graveyard, y'all. But anyway, but what I'm telling you is I would not have known that the fruit in the trash can punch would make you very, very drunk and could cause alcohol poisoning. That's not something at 16 I would have been cognizant of. And so that was my question about how much did she drink, and did she realize the amount of alcohol she was consuming?
Probably not. And there will be accounts, yes. A lot of it, because different people were seeing different things at different times. And so, yes. And we will get to it, I promise. And we are already, we had to have some, anyhow. I will get to it. But you say I go the long way around, people. I'm sorry. I go the long way around.
Taking the long way around.
So
that's
Ron,
my favorite Dixie Chicks song, or Chicks, whatever they are. Taking the long way around.
I don't love that one.
I love it. I love some Chicks. I know you don't, but I do. I'm a fan.
I love the Chicks.
And I've seen you do karaoke to the Dixie Chicks on several occasions. Oh, yes, we will. Someday we will.
Maybe. Let's get back to Ron and Janie, though.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready, chick? So Ron stated that he found her on the ground. She was breathing. And he did say they tried to get her into the truck. She was too limp to get her up there, so they loaded her in the back. He said that Kim was with her and then got cold and moved inside the truck. And then they went straight to the town square and wanted to, and I don't understand some of this, and I will say if anyone can phone us on this, but they went to town. They wanted to get the ambulance people to help them. They ended up parking, and I'll kind of share a map that was drawn by the police, but there was a map that showed that they parked on the square, which is, kind of the main part of town, off of the main part of town, that main 65, but that it was by the Searcy County Bank and then the Arkansas Power and Light. So I couldn't see on the map that the ambulance place was there, but evidently there was an ambulance like station close by. So I guess that's what he's talking about. So that was kind of, as soon as they parked, they told someone to go get the ambulance people. Like they were really obviously concerned about that. Okay. So now we're moving into Janie Ward. I already talked a little bit about Janie Ward. It was his house where the party was located. He mentions that he was second cousins with Janie. This is confusing. Janie. And that he mentioned about the party starting at 6, and we kind of went into this, that there were 25 to 30 people on his account. He came out of the house. He was inside at the time that Janie had fallen, so he was not one of the ones to see Janie fall off the porch. But he came outside and saw her, knew that she had passed out. And everybody's account is that she had passed out. That's what they're thinking in their minds. He did see people load her into the truck, and he heard them talk about how they wanted to get her to a doctor. So he accounts that he was just living there. He's telling the police he was living there because he wanted to go to school in Marshall, but he did not want to live. His dad lived in Harrison, his mom, and he just wasn't getting along with his stepdad that was with his mom. He did tell the police are asking about this punch. They're asking a lot of questions. He did say that someone, threw the punch in the woods because of the cops were coming. But he did say that he knew of a recipe for this PGA punch, and that's why he had soaked the orange slices in the rubbing alcohol.
Well, it was obviously not a good one.
Yeah, he mentioned that the recipe came from a book. He did not account which book that this came from. So
good Lord.
I would not advise anyone to make PGA punch at all, much less soak fruit in rubbing alcohol. So let's just get that. There was a person named Jason. He was similar age as everyone. He was inside the house and came out, and Janie was on the porch by this time. He said that she looked like she had passed out. There were people all around. And then he left the party because of all the chaos. And he didn't even hear until the next day what had happened to Janie. So this was his account. So everybody, again, is having various accounts based on where they were at the party. Okay? So are you following? Now, there was a person named Gary, and his account would be, to this point, probably what you want to hear, okay?
Okay, and was Gary an adult, or is he another 16-year-old?
Gary is actually 22, and he would actually be the person that purchased. He's really the only person of age. He would have purchased the alcohol for the party.
That was my next question. Who bought the alcohol for these 16-year-olds?
Yes, it would be Gary. And so he was the one that actually went with Jamie and maybe some other people to the liquor store and purchased the items, because he was the only person that could at that time. And the police, I will say, when they were interviewing him, it is an offense, to be of legal age and to purchase and to, alcohol and give it to minors. And so they did read him his rights. And when they were questioning him and all of this situation, I could not tell at this point if he was ever charged with anything, but they did, make it clear. But Gary's, I will read you some of his view of that evening, because
he's from Marshall.
Yes, so he was from Marshall. I believe he talked about how he knew Janie. He knew all these. He's hanging out with these kids for whatever reason. I don't. There's always an older kid at the teenage party, and Gary's that older kid. So, yeah. He states, this is Gary. He states that Janie was standing on the porch, kind of between a rail and a post, and then all of a sudden, like before his eyes, because he did witness this, she fell straight back, like she just passed out. So she
didn't hit her head. She didn't hit her head on the pole.
Well, not the pole. I will say not. And he could tell that she was out of it as she fell. Like he could see. I mean, it was like she was out and she fell because she was passing out. Does that make sense? It looked like she fell back on her neck and shoulders. So that's how it appeared to him. So she basically, and in this porch, it wasn't far up. Like it was set to be like 9 inches off the ground, but she just went straight. I mean, she was unconscious as she's falling. He could tell that she was. So
whatever happened before the fall.
Yes. The fall was kind of secondary to whatever was happening. Either she, whatever caused her to pass out, she passed out. She was coming out of it, and then she was going back. And he did say, and several others would say, even that didn't see it, but just heard it, that it sounded bad. Sounded bad.
Bless her heart. Now,
I know,
she didn't have any health problems at all that they knew of?
From the case file that I've seen so far, nothing was mentioned. I mean, she was a seemingly healthy 16-year-old person. Yes. Nothing stood out to her family, and nothing was, it's not like she had previous heart troubles that they knew about, or any type of, issues like, some people have epilepsy, I guess. My mother had teenage epilepsy, actually, that she grew out of. She didn't have any type of medical situation that this was common. And so, yeah. And I don't know what she had eaten.
I didn't know teenage epilepsy was a thing.
Yes, like my mother had it. And she grew out of it. Yeah, she grew out of it. So she did have that. So there was nothing.
Okay, I have one other question before we keep going.
Sorry.
No. You're doing a great job with this. Yeah, thank you. No, I'm very intrigued by all of this. I really am. But
yes.
What was her blood alcohol level? Did they check that when they got her to the hospital?
Yes. We probably won't get into that yet. That's probably going to be in part 2. But because I'm going to go into the odd top by part 2, I'm going to kind of lay out everything to do with the time after she got, like after the ambulance workers started working. Does that make sense?
When were her parents notified that this was going on?
That night. They were notified that night. So, yes. And that'll probably be, and I'll start kind of at part 2, guys. I'm going to start with, they're at the parking lot and the ambulance people are there. And then that's when everything kind of, she is pronounced, let's state it that way. At this time, everybody is assuming that she is just passed out from maybe drinking. That is the thought in everybody's head. Like these kids, didn't really know. And again, right as this is kind of happening is when they get the word that the police are coming. So it was a perfect storm of badness going on.
Yeah, it sounds like just situation. A big mess. And it sounds like probably all these kids were traumatized by this in some way, shape, or form. Yes.
And they probably didn't even looking back, they probably didn't even realize it, because like I said, they didn't think anything was wrong with her other than just her passing out. You know what I'm saying? So that was, yeah. So I'm sure looking back, they're like, oh, this was very serious. And I didn't even know it. Like it didn't even register. But Gary, again, he's seen her. He's seen this happen. He said it looked like she fell directly on her neck and shoulders, and she like gasped. She started gasping. It sounded like she was holding her breath, like she wasn't, kind of like, I guess, like it sounded like to me the way he was describing it, it's like when you get the wind knocked out of you or something.
And she may have, and like you said, this may be a secondary cause to what did this,
whatever happened. Yeah, she didn't breathe. He stated that she didn't breathe, out for a minute. It kind of was almost like it was stuck. And then all of a sudden it did come out. He went to her. And that's when, it kind of like finally she was like, the breath came out. Cause it was almost like I said, like she got the wind knocked out of her. He and somebody else, he couldn't even state, I'm sure it was mass confusion, picked her up and put her on the porch. He said her eyes were about halfway kind of open, but they were rolled back. She was not blinking. So her eyes were just kind of like half open.
That was a question I had earlier for you. Was did her eyes roll into the back of her head when she fell off the porch before she fell into the, or before she fell off the porch?
Yeah, he doesn't mention her eyes rolling back, but he mentioned that she, he could tell she was out as she fell. So that makes me think she was just like out. He does also say she had urinated and messed in her pants. So he did notate that. That was noticed.
So she lost all bodily function. And was this when she fell, or on the way to the courthouse, or on the way to wherever they ended up going?
Yeah, this was there. She had done it with the fall somehow, whether it was during the fall or once she hit the ground, because he's notating that she had urinated and messed, and this was when they were lifting her from the ground to the porch. And at that moment, he says, right then the yelling about the cops coming. So everyone was running. He said he finally got help and loaded her into the truck. And that was the last time he saw her until, I believe he wasn't in the truck. Remember, it was Ron that had brought her, and then Kim, and I will mention another girl had popped in. But he believed, he did mention to the police, because they're asking again about all of this, he believed that whatever was in her cup, so as she was falling, he said it was beer. He probably didn't even know what was in her cup. Maybe it was beer by that time. He said the cup just kind of went like all over her as she fell. So she was getting, just kind of remember this, she is spilling beer on herself as she's falling, and then she had messed her pants. So her pants would have been completely soiled. She fell.
And there was no drugs found there besides marijuana.
According to all the interviews, everyone stated that there was not chemical drugs, that there were just a few marijuana cigarettes being passed around, according to the interviews that would come up. And again,
wow, this is crazy.
It is crazy. It does say she had, and this is still Ron, she had a best friend. He's just commenting she had a best friend, Rachel. So he's commenting about Janie to the police, and he understood that for a while Janie had actually lived with Rachel, but evidently they had words, and he hadn't seen Rachel and Janie together. Like Rachel wasn't at the party. They hadn't been hanging out. So it was kind of common, I guess, knowledge. We're kind of seeing, yes, she stayed in town quite a bit. She had evidently, according to his account, had lived with her best friend, Rachel. So she wasn't always spending time at her home, evidently. And I will say, I know, and it's kind of weird. It was kind of weird to me reading this about Jamie living on his own and such, but I think that was pretty common. I know my brother, he was born an old soul, and he did not get along with my stepdad, and he was out of the house by 17. He was living on his own. So I can't imagine it. I was such a baby. I was the baby of the family. So
You were the baby. Aw.
I was the baby girl.
I knew that.
I was the baby girl, but
I know.
I was just a little, I don't know. I just can't, I wasn't born an old, I was born a very immature young soul. So it's taken me a while. I really don't want to live on my own now.
The 42-year-old women doing the Paranormal Cold Case podcast.
Yes, and having fun and prancing around cemeteries. And
I love it. I know. Yes, I love it.
That's us. But to go back, this is just so sad. This is what's heartbreaking about this whole case is just Janie. So I want to kind of reiterate Janie because she's, anyway, we have 16-year-olds. This really tugs at me like in so many ways. I'm just like, I wish I was there that night to protect you, Janie. Whatever happened, I just wish I was there.
Or to go in there and tell all those kids to get the heck out and, tell them you need a little more sense than this. We would, if we showed up at a teenager party today, oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Everybody would be like, ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. And then I've been subbing so much at the high school that a lot of them know me, and then they know me from, the kids and being a parent. They'd be like, ugh, why is your mom here?
Because we're trying to tell you to do the right thing. Do the right thing.
Make good choices. Make good choices.
Hey, we made pretty good choices in high school, and I don't regret that at all.
Okay.
None of my college friends, please, y'all don't call in, but I was in college. But in high school, I made really, shut up, please.
I'm thinking about we did not consume any drugs or alcohol.
No, I didn't do that. But
bad choices I made in high school without that.
Yeah.
Like, oh. But no, I had a really fun freshman year of college.
Yeah. But it's not like we didn't have the chance in high school. I think we were big chickens, and that was okay.
Yeah.
We were big chickens, and we were the
I was scared of everything.
Except for graveyards, because we were there all the time.
I wasn't scared of a good graveyard. Actually, we were scared. We just enjoyed it.
No, and we would ghost hunt and go to Waffle House, and we would stay out till 2 and 3 in the morning. But we weren't doing doing any kind of drugs or anything like that. And
I got in trouble for breaking curfew a lot.
That was probably my fault. Your mom was probably like, "That Amber, oh my gosh."
Yeah, my curfew was like, I remember. Well, we hung out with boys, and they didn't even have curfews, and that was the problem. And then. It's just, I don't know. And then I would have to be home by midnight. And I don't know. Anywho, are you okay? Amber?
It went out. Hold on,
okay.
I'm going to be editing till midnight. What time?
I'm sorry. I'm going to wrap this up.
Okay. If we don't have a time for a lot of small talk, we'll just do a little bit on the eclipse and what we're planning, that we are going to come to them live during the eclipse, because we just are.
Take videos.
Yeah.
Take videos.
And then
I hate doing a live because you can't, I don't know. Can't do a reel.
We'll just tell them it's a surprise because we don't know either.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I will say, okay, I'm going to wrap up. So...
This is very interesting. I mean, very interesting. I don't know if I can wait a few weeks for part 2. We may have We may have to negotiate here.
I can get part 2 out by next week. I can. But I just need like a week. Like, it's a lot.
Well, I understand. I mean, I came to her house this weekend, and she had stacks and stacks of these papers. I bet they just love you down at the state police. Having to send you all this stuff.
They're like, I never want to hear from her again, but they will.
Yes, they will. Yeah.
Well, okay. So I promise. So I do have, this is just interesting. So there were the police interviewed, and what I have found and gone through, I went through about 23 witness statements and multiple, because they were interviewing, especially we're talking like Ron, Kim, Gary, they're interviewing them several times. A lot of the other accounts are reiterating what they accounted, okay, about what, there's just a lot more here. So just to kind of, I'll probably do a concise list out, at the beginning of the next, just to kind of outline. But there was a lot of the same thing. Everybody showed up around 6 or 6:30. They thought that Janie had passed out. Everybody accounted that Janie was in a good mood, and everybody accounted that Janie was wearing a t-shirt that night.
Wait a minute. She was wearing a t-shirt. I thought she was wearing a different shirt. I thought you said something about a striped shirt.
And this is exactly where the contention gets. So remember, the morning that she left to get on the bus was Friday morning. Her parents saw her leave the house in that blouse with the blue pinstripes. Okay. So it was like a button-up shirt with, white with blue pinstripes and jeans. Okay. I can envision this because that was such the quintessential shirt.
Yeah, 80s shirt. I had a blue and white pinstripe shirt.
I know my brother did. I can envision it. I can see it. It is, and he had a mullet.
That's funny.
Sorry, I had to laugh.
Well, at least you didn't have one.
Oh, I know. Don't even get me started. We all had our own situations, remember? But she was left the house wearing that. At the party, all of the people account that she was wearing a t-shirt. Now, Leslie Watts, the one that she spent the night with, had detailed that she had let Janie borrow I believe it's Def Leppard t-shirt.
Oh my gosh, that is so crazy. Do you know what I had in my head? That she had a Van Halen t-shirt on. Oh, I don't know if because we were talking to my friend Penny about Van Halen the other day.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, I had in my head she had a Van Halen t-shirt on. Well, so that is so weird. I was so close. You were
very close. But this would be so remember, people, when we kind of get into the next episode. So yes, so everybody at the party, if they say anything about her clothes, if they can remember anything about her clothes, they remember that she was wearing a t-shirt and jeans was what she was wearing. Because you can imagine, this girl started out wearing that top that her parents say Friday morning. Well, she spent the night with Leslie, and evidently she had other clothes kind of stashed. Remember, Leslie discussed that she had clothes at the pool hall for whatever reason. So she borrowed clothes from Leslie because I'm sure she did not want to be seen wearing the same clothes that she wore to school Friday. That's a factor, but they were probably dirty. I remember, especially Arkansas in September, it's still kind of warm. I don't know.
Dusty.
Even if, yeah, warm and dusty, and she had ridden a bus and gone to school all day Friday. Who knows what else they did Friday night? So she had changed. She had borrowed clothes from Leslie. So just remember that. But a lot
will do.
Yes, but a lot of these accounts, and I'll kind of, again, 23 of these teenagers, had very similar accounts. Like I said, and we will kind of do a concise list at the beginning of the next episode. So more to come, but basically at this point, Janie was at the party by 8:30. She was heading into town. Town.
Wow. Yes. This was really interesting.
In the back of a truck.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So this is really interesting. And if you want to hear more, you can catch Catherine Townsend's podcast on this as well. It's a one-person podcast, so there's not a lot of conversation like us, and you can probably get it all in like an hour and a half. But we like to narrate. So yeah, stick with us. Stick with us. And then some. Yes.
But yes.
Speaking of which, I've been hearing some really good things. We've gotten some good feedback. We are hitting our goals. We have 3,000 members on our Facebook page, and I think this is finally happening. Mm-hmm. We have people that are conversating between each other, and that's what we want. We want people. Yes, we do. We approve posts and things like that, but we want you guys to talk to each other. That's kind of how we envisioned our Facebook presence there. And, the same with Instagram as well. So as Lisa said, we do have a mini episode coming, or what are we calling those? Unexplained shorts.
We are unexplained shorts.
Speaking of unexplained shorts, I had some unexplained shorts in the 80s and 90s. Oh, do you remember when we used to wear? Yeah, remember when we used to wear the skirts?
Squirts. Oh, yes.
The squirts.
Squirts were good. And tube
I think
socks.
they're back. Yeah.
And parachute
squirts,
pants.
Oh, God. Squirts and tube socks. Okay. I'm scared. Those are some unexplained shorts right there.
I wear scrunchies now because they say, like, they don't pull your hair. So I try to wear a scrunchie now.
Yeah. No, I will tell you, as soon as
break my hair.
Well, as soon as scrunchies came back, I like tripped over my own feet getting to the Walmart and buying scrunchies to get some scrunchies, because by the time we were, I don't know, like in 9th, 10th grade, scrunchies went out.
Oh, and they were so out.
Yes, they were so out. And we had to do those clips, those like jaws of life clips, and I hated those because they always scratched my forehead or the back of my head, not forehead. But
I just didn't even do it. I'm trying to envision. I did not pull my hair back very much. I just fixed it.
No, you did not. In fact, the only times I remember you wearing a ponytail, actually, I don't think I've ever seen you in a ponytail, except for now I do, but when you're younger, you never wore a ponytail. You put your hair up at prom once.
Yes, I will say I wore short hair though, and now I've not had short hair in a very, very, very long time, like 20 years.
You had the Natalie Imbruglia cut, and I had the Drew Barrymore cut. Yes.
And I typically wore my hair chin length, and now my hair, oh goodness, I need a haircut.
I'm just too lazy to get my hair cut. And, like, and this is true. This is so true. As soon as the Rachel and all those, layers came back in, I took a picture to my hairstylist, and I was like, okay, I need that back, because that's when I felt most alive, was when I had a layered dude from the 90s. Oh gosh. Yeah. That's why I have such short layers right here, because I do like that. Okay. So let's switch gears to something they actually want to hear.
The total eclipse of the heart.
Oh my gosh. I go back and forth about this eclipse thing. I'm kind of excited about it because we are getting so close.
We're so close.
We are so close.
By tomorrow, they're saying, so listeners across, we're in so many countries, so they may not understand, but we are in the zone for the eclipse.
In the zone.
So the autos, no. So they are telling us that we need to go get gas. We need to get all of our groceries and gas, and we better get it because it may be gone.
Okay, so
predicting a little bit of an Armageddon.
Well, but they do that every time something big rolls around, right? Now, I will tell you this, and I looked this up, and I did put this on our Facebook page. The last eclipses we had in Arkansas that were these total solar eclipses were in 1834 and 1918. So this is a big event. Now, I know colleges around our area have huge, numbers predicted that are coming to their campuses. I know my college, they have gone all out. We've got so many awesome things on our all three of our campuses. We have in Heber and Searcy and Heber Springs. We've got so many cool things, and it's only like $20 to park, and it's a good deal. It's a good deal for a family, because this is an event you don't want to miss. Now, as far as us, what are we doing, Lise?
Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm doing, because do you have to work? Do you have to?
Well, I'm going to be with the university that morning. Yes.
Okay. So, and I'll tell you. So I've been around town lately. So the city
that didn't sound good.
I just got out of the town and did errands yesterday.
Okay,
and
anyway,
went to
go ahead.
I moved my house in.
You didn't just get around town. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, that did sound bad. Okay, so the city of Searcy has multiple events going on. Like at the Searcy Event Center, they're doing something. The school, Searcy Public Schools, is doing something, and I plan to be, for $10, you can go into Lions Stadium and watch the eclipse with everybody. So that's what I want to do.
Well, and I'm going to
I'm in a video.
Well, I'm going to, then that is my son's high school. So, I hope they have a big crowd, but I'm going to plug my college because they're so good to us. And they've, they've really been supportive of us all this time, but they are, they have parking and in all kinds of stuff at ASU Searcy, at ASU BB, and ASU Heber. And I will tell you this, ASU Heber is absolutely gorgeous. And if I wasn't going to work at ASU Searcy that day, I would be in Heber because it's going to be beautiful. But if you want to meet me, if you want to come hang out with me during the eclipse, I will be at ASU Searcy. So we won't be together.
We won't be together, but we will.
That's so sad.
Oh,
I know.
Well, we'll be together. We'll FaceTime.
Yes.
If we can, they're saying that our phones may not work. Okay, so me and Amber
I don't know if I believe that, but I'm probably going to eat my words. Like when we, because
you need to charge your phone.
Oh, that's true. I never charge my phone.
She's terrible people at charging her phone. And I get notifications where we have Life 360.
Yes. If you are wondering if this is one of those questions that just burns your brain, yes, Lisa and I have each other on Life 360 on all the things. Yes.
And
so I never charge my phone.
How many times a day I get a notification that you are low on battery? Like less than 5%, people. 5%.
I live in a house full of people that take my chargers. They're charger thieves. But anyway, so back to the other. There are plenty of places that you are welcome, and we would love to see you here in Searcy and BB.
Yes, and in my church, so First Baptist Church downtown, and then the downtown section of Searcy, even the bank.
Oh gosh, that's gonna be so much fun. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes. Even the bank is closing at noon. I mean, the bank, they never close. But anyway, the eclipse is supposed to happen at 1:52 p.m.
I'll tell you what, like I told Scott, I said, we're just going to put a sign out in our yard because I live like right on the outskirts of town, but we're going to put a sign out there that says, charge your crystals. Yeah. Charge your crystals.
Right in town.
Well, whatever. But we're going to put a box out, or we're going to put a sign out there that says, charge your crystals. Charge your crystals, $20 a box. Yeah.
There you go. Well, go really. Charge your
y'all
crystal.
Don't show up at my house with your crystals. Please don't.
Please do. And then send us a picture. But anyway, we have the eclipse. Oh, and the town of Searcy has done a mural that is beautiful.
It is nice.
I will try to post that tomorrow because I have to go downtown to return something at the boutique, plugging the boutique. But we have a mural for the eclipse. Mm-hmm. We have drank the eclipse Kool-Aid, and
we will be posting things about the eclipse all weekend long, just because it's fun and it's so it's Monday. Yeah, it is Monday, and it's like once, maybe twice in a lifetime opportunity.
Yes.
I was in Soma today.
Closed the schools.
They have closed the schools. But I will tell you, I was in Soma today, and that's South on Main or South Main Street is what it is. Oh. But I was in Soma at Moxie, which, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, my favorite store, and they have a ton of cool. I mean, I'm saying cool stuff that is eclipse and moon related, and
it's ecliptical.
It's nice.
Do you like
now? I will tell you this. I am so excited about the eclipse, but I don't want to hear Total Eclipse of the Heart very many times.
Eclipse
of the heart. And I will tell you, and I've told Lisa this like twice. When we were kids, when we were at the middle school, the high school had an interpretive dance team that would do a Just Say No to Drugs and Alcohol interpretive dance. They all wore like black shirts and black pants, and they would all have signs that said like cocaine and alcohol and all these bad things. And they would,
I'm not laughing at that, but
they would dance to Total Eclipse of the Heart. You know, where the crescendos happen, and you know, at the it's like the person almost it was interesting. I can't find one classmate that remembers that besides me. I don't know if that was a fever dream. You know, I had the chicken pox late, so maybe it was a fever dream when I had the chicken pox.
You also had mono for like a long time. But that was high school. I swear
that was a thing. I swear that was a thing. We were like in I want to say 6th or 7th grade, and the high school had like a Just Say No, because you know that was the thing. It was Nancy Reagan, Just Say No, and
Just Say No.
They had a little team of people, and it was one of their clubs in the high school, and they did a dance to Total Eclipse of the Heart, and they all wore black, and it was somebody that was, you know, getting into drugs and alcohol and probably things they shouldn't. Yeah. Well, and it was all to the song Total Eclipse of the Heart. And it scared the crap out of me. And maybe that's why I never drank in high school.
Probably so. But I will
worked.
say, we determined that class was probably somewhere around 1993. So
yes,
if you graduated in that zone of 1993, Searcy High School, if you were in that interpretive dance, please let us know.
I swear it happened. I swear it happened. And then like years later, I watched this episode of Community, the TV show, and they had everyone dressed in black, and they had signs of like, you know, drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling my husband, I'm like, that's what happened. I've seen something like that at my middle school when I was a kid.
Or dreamed it. So let us know.
I did not dream it.
If
that
it happened.
Yeah.
Not. Maybe other people from our class will remember with you too. So anyway, we have several listeners from high school. So
yes, and we love you. Mwah. So
we love you all. We love you.
Shonda. We have several people that are from our high school that listen to us, and we love you. Mwah. So
we love you all.
That's all we have. Unless you're pointing your finger at me.
I'm pointing my finger. I just want to say, so please, if you can, you guys have been amazing, but please go in and invite people to our group. We would love for you to invite people to our Facebook, invite them to the Instagram. We have so much stuff going on. We will announce like in the upcoming month. Okay.
Yes. We have book club. Yes. We have all kinds of things. So just stay tuned. In the next 2 weeks, we'll have at least 2 really big announcements, but we're not going to talk about them yet. So
we're not.
Yes. So that's it. That's all we have
for later.
today.
No,
yeah, Lisa will tell you. She can't keep a secret. All right. So that's it. That's all we have. Y'all have a great day, and we will be back with soon with an unexplained short. So we'll see you soon. All right. Bye.
Bye.